Sustaining Creativity podcast. I'm your host, Mari Reesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Rebeccah Silence, self-healing and relationship expert. Please enjoy Rebeccah Silence. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity podcast. Today, I'm chatting with self-healing and relationship expert Rebeccah Silence. Welcome to the show.
Well, hello, Mari. I'm so happy to be here, and I am all about creativity. So let's make magic.
I cannot wait. I know you have such an extended life experience of creative pursuits and just how creativity shows up in your own life. But before we get there, let's just take a minute and let our listeners know a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, I always like to say I'm the space where all healing is possible. And what I mean when I talk about healing is freedom. And I think creativity is a huge path to freedom and liberation, especially in those non-preferential doozy moments where there just doesn't seem to be any hope or possibility. And, I got here by growing up in domestic violence and thinking there had to be a better way, then no matter how much I learned or understood, I still found myself in patterns and experiences that were familiar. And if I'm honest, comforting because I knew how to survive them. And I decided, all right, my traditional training with a master's degree in counseling wasn't enough for me to feel different, even if I understood better. And so I started immersing myself in the coaching world as a pioneer, one of the first coaches out there, combining the best of therapy and the best of coaching, creating what I call the practice of emotional healing. And, I'm always client zero, being as emotionally clear and healed as possible so I can teach other people how to get 100% of the life and love they want. And my life today, I always say, is the example more than anything and the greatest testimony that healing is possible. This dream come true, magically delicious, blissful life I'm living, not necessarily all of the insane Lifetime movie network life I had prior, right? Because it's supposed to be good. And I really want us in an empowering conversation when it comes to trauma. I want us to know there's no trauma you can't use to your advantage or, plug into creativity to use to your advantage.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I am even more excited, and I was already excited to talk with you about creativity and the ways in which it arrives in your life with your clients, how what you do with your clients is your expression of creativity as well. But before we get there, when you think of creativity, what does it mean to you to be creative?
For me, honestly, creativity is about honoring how freaking fun I am.
Love it.
Like I grew up as that parentified, over-responsible oldest child, and I remember my first class in grad school, it was personality theories, and we took a quiz and it was like, you're going to get a dominant and then two secondary, and the two secondary, one is the mask you wear and one is the truth of who you are. And I almost fell out of my chair because I could not believe I'm actually fun.
Mm.
So creativity, because it was like my number one was control. And then my two were perfection and fun. And I remember like I'm perfection all day. And then I remember really realizing, no, I'm not. I'm fun. And I just remember
Yeah.
thinking, I'm fun. I'm fun. I'm fun. Who the hell knew I was fun? I didn't, so when I'm creative, I get to play with who I really am.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So that moment of realization that I am fun, how did that like shift your trajectory in that moment? that recognition of
I
fun?
mean, it was one of the most impactful moments in my life that I almost never talk about, quite frankly, because I just remember thinking, well, at the time, my first husband was playing and fun and not responsible at all. So everything was in my name, the house, the cars. I was trying to be just like growing up because
Yeah.
there is such a correlation between how you feel as an adult at home now and
Hmm.
how you felt growing up if you haven't healed it yet, right? So
Hmm.
I just knew without really understanding what to do with it, this isn't going to be my life. How I'm
Hmm.
living now is not going to be my life. And I am fun and I'm having no fun.
Right.
Therefore, there's a gap to figure out how to close.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how did that recognition of that I am fun, I'm not having fun? It sounds like you went through many years of navigating that
Oh
to
God, yeah.
where
I,
you
I
are
mean, and
today.
I wasn't having fun for probably 5 more years, is the truth.
Yeah.
But at least I had a permission slip that that was a destination worth fighting for
Hmm.
and a
Hmm.
finish line worth being committed to crossing no matter what, right? So,
Yeah,
it took a while because I had to have my whole life fall apart so I could figure out who I was and
sure.
put my life back together again. But it was fun to decide that I was going to heal until I was
Mm-hmm.
having fun.
Oh,
And I
I
did.
love that. Yeah. I mean, first of all, congratulations of like finding fun again and expressing it and having it be such a power in your life. Now, in terms of like navigating those challenges the next 5 years before like, tearing things down, rebuilding, how did you face those challenges? Like if you think back with creativity.
Yeah, and I love looking at it this from this angle because I've never talked about how creative I had to be.
Hmm.
And I really have had to be creative. And in my private practice, I've been helping people heal since 2002. And in my private practice, hundreds upon hundreds of success stories of healing, it's always creativity that
Hmm.
closes the gap between how we're feeling and how we want to feel. And a lot
Hmm.
of people focus on if the external could just change, then internally I'll be okay, right? But I
Yeah.
have to get creative about facing the darkest corners of my soul
Hmm.
so I can handle the truth of who I am and how I feel so I can create the life I want even if external doesn't change. And this is what I've taught my clients over the years is we don't need the external to change
Hmm.
for us to be okay or foundationally sound or feeling how we want to feel. We think it's the external that's the problem.
Hmm.
This person looked at me cross-eyed. This person got the
Hmm.
promotion and I didn't. This spouse that I've given my whole heart to is cheating on me and lying to me, and I don't deserve this, right? But
Hmm.
the external changing isn't going to change your inner world. And
Hmm.
you are the master of your inner landscape. And so for me, it was about going until I fall in love. This is literally what it was. Until I fall in love with the part of me that's convinced that shutting down and freezing is the way. I
Hmm.
won't be able to win. That me is going to win
Hmm.
until I get to the point where the part of me that wants to fight and blame and pity the fool that tried to mess with me because you picked the wrong bitch. I got
Yeah.
to fall in love with that me if the healed me is going to win and not that me. And
Hmm.
then the same thing with the part of me that wants to run because
Hmm.
there's fight, flight, freeze, and then there's healed. And until
Hmm.
you're creatively embracing all these versions of you that take over when your
Hmm.
survival self is convinced you can only survive if you fight, flight, freeze, you
Yeah.
don't get to meet the healed you. And the healed you doesn't win.
Yeah.
And we're
Well,
all of it.
exactly. And it's time to meet the healed us and participate in
Amen,
that
sister.
person. Yes.
But this is the thing. You're not going to wake up one day and know who that is.
Right.
You wake
Yeah.
up one day and go, I'm surviving. And we're all bipolar. I'm sorry.
Mm.
I'm trained to diagnose you, and I'm not going to. And when I'm saying we're all bipolar, I'm not saying the traditional DSM version of the diagnosis. I'm
Sure.
saying there's a version of you created to survive.
Hmm.
And then you think it's who you are.
Mm.
And if
Mm-hmm.
it was who you are, you wouldn't feel like shit.
Yeah.
Right? But we don't know who we are except for who we became to survive. And the scariest, most liberating, delicious work you can do, that is also the darkest, most painful work you can do, is to go, I'm going to let myself break through survival so I can design who I want to be.
I love that.
Right?
Designing who you want to be, first recognizing I'm in survival, and then that choice to break through. For people who this may all be very new language or new
Yes.
experience, where where do you recommend people start?
Buy my book because I literally wrote a roadmap for you.
I love it.
Not because I know your answers, but I know how to get you to the place where you can access your truth. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we know it's your truth when it feels good. And nobody tells us like it's supposed to feel good. Life is supposed to be joyful. Life
Yeah.
is supposed to be magically delicious. And
Mm-hmm.
we're supposed to let ourselves creatively let
Mm-hmm.
love in
Mm-hmm.
as much as we want to give all of this love we have inside of us, right?
Mm.
And I think everybody lies when we're growing up about what do you want to be when you grow up, because the real answer is loved.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
how do you start? You've got to figure out, who have I become?
Mm-hmm.
And what about that do we want to keep? And what about that is just inherited generational love trauma that I don't have
Mm-hmm.
to carry with me or pass on to my own kids? So
Mm.
I wrote a book. It's coming back to life, a roadmap to heal from pain to create the life you want. And again, it's not me saying I have your answers. It's me saying you do. And I'm going
Mm.
to help you access them. And I wanted to write a book about turning the trauma story on its head. I wanted to write
Mm.
a book that was like, there's no trauma you can't use to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And there is so much life beyond survival. And I validate, when we start to admit we're in survival,
Yeah.
let alone decide to break up with survival, it can literally feel like we're dying,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not.
Yeah.
It's just we're letting go of who we're not. And that feels like a threat because we know we can survive survival. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know we can survive alignment.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Everything you're saying in my mind, I'm just like the creative process and creative experience of all of it is amazing. And talking about identity and the choice, and that identity is something that we have the capacity to choose. Like we create who we
Yes,
want
we
to
have to
become.
reinvent ourselves, right? My
Exactly.
clients
Yeah.
say yes to reinventing themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm the coach that's going to tell you, you don't need a breakdown to break through.
Mm.
You just need
Yeah.
to decide to live and to take your life back and to take you back. Because
Mm.
so many of us are living in a way where we're trying to fit in
Yeah.
versus designing a life that fits in with us. But you can't design a life that fits in with you if you don't know who you are. And almost nobody knows who they are.
Right. Yeah. And that the curiosity that goes into learning who you are, discovering what those pieces and aspects are that you want to keep, that you want to let go of, that you want to develop. And yeah, all of that is very exciting to hear that you're doing this work, and that, how people, I think oftentimes the psychotherapy world has a lot of taboo, and it's still really steeped in stigma for so many people. So to experience you talking about something and seeing your joy and your passion come through, I can only imagine what it is for people hearing about it who are also experiencing, oh wow, this can be exciting. It doesn't
Right.
have to be a complete rock bottom.
No. And often we wait because I created this term a couple of years ago. I call it high functioning unhappiness.
Mm.
So
Say
many of
more.
us, right, are high functioning and unhappy. And I
Mhm.
just like that term better than generational trauma healing because it scares people half to death, right?
Sure.
But like if we look at it through the lens of high functioning unhappiness, what I mean by that is so many of you are already high performers, high achievers, and successful on paper, right? When I got out of a domestic violence marriage with a 2-year-old, the bottom had fell out of my life, but it almost was like I had nothing to lose
Hmm.
because everything had broken and I thought
Yeah.
I was broken. And I just I will give myself some credit because I had to have courage. I could have stayed in that, but I
Hmm.
was just unwilling to. And I knew I was going to lose everything and have to build it all back up, right?
Yeah.
And when you're in a place where you've lost everything and you have nothing to lose, it's really easy, if we're honest, to say yes to reinventing ourselves. But what
Yeah.
about when we're high functioning and when we
Mm.
don't want to threaten what we've built?
Hmm.
Right? So high functioning unhappiness is about recognizing, wait a minute, if I don't threaten the unhappiness, the high functioning parts of my life are going to fall away, even if I'm holding on for dear life. Because if I'm not
Hmm.
happy, it's not sustainable. I'm going to get sick. I'm going to
Yeah.
burn out. I'm going to light a match and want to blow it all up.
Hmm.
So the clients I serve in my private practice are coming to me because they're high functioning and unhappy. And I
Hmm.
just make it safe and fun to
Hmm.
creatively threaten the unhappiness because it does exist. Happiness does exist.
Hmm.
Happiness does exist. It's not like a unicorn that
Yeah.
is evading you. And we don't need to choose independence or what we've built. We need to
Mm-hmm.
get back to the place where we're high functioning and happy because we're living our lives our way.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, I just hear so, I mean, I don't know your clients, but in hearing you talk, can only imagine how inspired they are to hear your journey and your
Yeah.
story and know that change and transformation and growth is possible. But
Yes.
where do you find your inspiration? Like, who or what is inspiring you these days?
Well, for me, it took, and I go way deeper in coming back to life, my book about all of this, but it took my life falling apart
Mm.
when I ended up getting married again, doing all this healing work in between the two husbands and building a company and getting my footing and my bearings. But I was still hardwired to think achievement was
Mm.
how I would know I was valuable. I
Mm.
still thought I need to be needed and I need to prove that I'm worth taking up space in this life. And
Mhm.
so I was killing myself working
Mhm.
myself almost to death. And I had gotten married again. Everything seems like, okay, this is my dream come true life. And I got pregnant again and then got diagnosed with cancer. And they only gave me a 5% chance to live. And it was so cruel because I had no family
Mm.
history of cancer. I
Yeah.
had no, like, I felt very well. My business was thriving, right? So for me, how do I find inspiration?
Mhm.
I know that me in alignment with the truth of who I am is all that matters. And I've
Mm.
had to survive and face all my biggest fears. And
Mhm.
now I'm still here with no reason to be. And I just feel like my life is on divine assignment. So all I do now is pursue pleasure and fun.
Mm.
That's it.
Oh my gosh. Well, now I need to ask, what do you do for that inspire pleasure and fun in your own life?
Yeah. Well, I had to decide I was going to be a lifestyle entrepreneur for the rest of my life, right? I'm not an entrepreneur that needs to achieve to
Yeah.
prove something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, so I do all this so I can have the life I want. That's the
Mm.
first thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is what I help my clients with is how do you set your life up to win for you? So I'm in a commitment that my life has to work for me and that
Mm.
I have to be set up to win, honoring and respecting and taking care of me 100% of the time. And that even in the non-preferential BS moments that are inevitable, right? Because
Right.
life's going to go our way and then it isn't going to go our way. And none of
Yeah.
that's about you. It's just life being life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I get to focus on who am I going to be? What
Mm-hmm.
am I in the pursuit of creating?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the experience I want to have? These are the three big things. I always have control over who I'm choosing to be
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm creating and the
Mm.
experience I want to have. And for me, it took cancer to know
Mm.
who I was and to commit to I'm going to be this me because it's easy to be this me in the face of everything on paper is perfect. But
Yeah.
what about when you're diagnosed with cancer while you're pregnant and everything you thought you were, you don't get those success metrics anymore because I can't
Right.
be the sexy wife now. And I
Yeah.
can't be the rock star business owner making money hand over fist. And I can't
Mm-hmm.
be the mom I want to be or the friend or the
Mm-hmm.
community member, right? But I get to be the Rebecca that's peaceful and joyful and love
Mm.
no matter what. I
Mm-hmm.
get to have joy and excitement as the rule I live by. I get to be her, right?
Yeah.
Empowered, powerfully relaxed. What am I creating? And what's the experience I want to have? I get to plug those three things into the spiritual GPS no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, it inspires the shit out of me that I get to create me and
Mm.
my experience 100% of the time. But I love, these little things like my home. I
Mm-hmm.
work here. I live here. I never have to leave here. It's an amazing home. And every room is like not a museum in a way where you can't touch it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's pristine. My
Mm-hmm.
environment inspires me.
Yeah.
And then what I'm feeding myself spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, it inspires me. And I get to, instead of trying to fit in, make sure every moment is fitting in with me. So I wear the big funky jewelry. I am not afraid. You go to my website, The Unsilent Woman, I'm in like tulle robes and lipstick with crazy jewelry because I'm just like, this is me. And if you're down, great. And if you're not, bye, I'll blow you a kiss and no
Yeah.
problem. But I'm not like dumbing it down, editing myself, trying to be what I think I'm supposed to be. And that's inspiring. And
Yeah.
my space inspires me. And I'm intentional AF, which keeps me inspired. And I'm a music therapist. So, music, it's one of my go-tos. I'm listening
Mm-hmm.
to music all the time. And
Mm.
I'm learning every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm serving every day. And I'm letting myself be loved every day without pushing that away because it feels threatening. And I could
Mm-hmm.
go on for days, but
Yeah.
every part of my life is inspiring or it's a no thank you.
Mm. I love that. I love all of that. And just the intention behind all of the pieces, the home, the environment, the space you create to experience joy and to be joyful within. And yeah, so for people who are just starting on their rediscovering joy in their life journey, what are maybe a few initial tips that might set them up to start to experience a little joy?
Yeah. So, what I want to teach right now is the practice of emotional healing in a nutshell. This is the Reader's Digest version. The book will give you more. You go to theunsilentwoman.com or RebeccahSilence.com, and I have free gifts for you and more on all of this. But my jam, I created what I call the practice of emotional healing. And what I know for sure is I wouldn't be alive without it.
Mm.
And we need more than mindset and
Mhm.
strategy. And where traditional therapy fails us is it's trying to help you heal your emotions through the mind.
Mm.
And that just doesn't work. And I'm not saying there's not phenomenal therapists out there,
Mhm.
but if you're like, I've done the therapy, I've read the books, I've studied, and I still don't feel how I want to feel, that's because you haven't learned the practice of emotional healing yet. So, what
Mm.
the practice of emotional healing does is it makes life super simple, doesn't mean it's easy.
Mhm.
I teach there's a huge distinction between our feelings about what's happening and the
Mhm.
emotions underneath it all we need to feel.
Mhm.
Okay. So I teach there's only five emotions:
Hmm.
anger, fear, grief, joy, excitement. Anger, fear, grief, joy, excitement. A baby is born knowing that these are emotions to follow and to not resist. And a
Mhm.
baby can go through anger, fear, grief, joy, excitement in 5 seconds,
Mhm.
right? Because they haven't
Yeah.
learned to edit themselves yet.
Mhm.
Our feelings about what's going on, we learned overwhelm.
Mm.
We learned abandonment. We learned betrayal, disappointment, right?
Mhm.
I could go on for days. Guilt, shame, etc., etc., etc. Those ways of feeling about what's going on are how we're coping, so we don't have to be with the emotion underneath it.
Yeah.
And if you want joy and excitement to be the rule you live by, you have to have a healthy relationship with anger, fear, grief, joy, and excitement. Because
Mm.
this emotional weather isn't because of what someone said or did or a circumstance.
Mhm.
It's just where you are emotionally. So when you get to the point where no emotion is a threat,
Mm.
that's how you're free. And when you're not resisting any of the emotions, because some of you can't stand joy and excitement. I have a client, she's
Yeah.
top 4 in the country in her industry, and she's so happy. Fiance just bought her a $70,000 engagement ring, and her business is thriving, and her kids great. She doesn't know how to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know how to handle the joy,
Yeah.
right? And I love there's a meme out there. I didn't create this. I don't know who did, but it talks about we're not healing to handle the trauma. You're good at that. We're
Right.
healing to handle the joy. So
Yes.
emotional healing is something you always have control over, and it's a huge missing across the
Mm.
globe in personal development because we
Mm-hmm.
think our feelings are because of, we don't know how to master anger, fear, grief, joy, excitement.
Mm.
So that's what I teach. I give you a huge taste of it in the book. And again, you can find me online at theunsilentwoman.com or RebeccahSilence.com to learn more. But I want you to master emotional healing so you can get back to joy and excitement as the rule instead of joy and excitement being the exception.
Mm. Amen. Yeah, like all of it. Sign me up. I love it. It's fantastic. And thank you so much for taking the time to break things down for us, give us little
Yeah.
tidbits and snippets, and sharing your own life and your own experience and the things that have helped you find joy and excitement in your own life. I just have one last question.
Yeah.
What does it feel like in your body to be creative?
Great question. I mean, the first word I hear is alive,
Mm,
and for me, when I'm creative, I'm not alone in it. So
mhm,
I started years and years and years ago. I've been on the radio in New York for 15 years now, every
mhm.
single week, talking to a few 100,000 people. And when I first got this radio show gig with no media training, just the guidance came through.
Yeah.
I would drive to the radio station at 5:30 in the morning and I would say, "All right, God, get Rebecca out of the way
Mm, mhm,
and just come through me. What would you have me say? I'm here for it. Show
mm,
me. I don't want to figure it out." And for me, when I'm creative, I'm literally in a co-creation with God.
mhm,
So it's delicious, it's magical, and it's super fun to let myself be delighted and surprised by the downloads. I
mhm,
really am a portal at this point. I just plug in and source flows through me. So I'm alive, but I'm so connected and
mm,
almost like when I'm creative, I'm in a hug from God, and
mhm,
I just get to be the messenger of the
mm.
divine intelligence, divine love, and divine guidance. And it is magically delicious.
Well, what a great phrase to end on. It's magically delicious. I love it. Well, remind people where they can find all of your
Yeah.
things that you have in the world, get in touch with you.
Yeah, at Rebecca Silence. It's Rebeccah anywhere. Rebecca Silence YouTube channel, at Rebecca Silence Instagram, at the Unsilent Woman Instagram. And if you DM me creativity, I'll send you an extra free gift. The
Oh.
websites are theunsilentwoman.com and RebeccahSilence.com. And for any women out there that would love to experience me as their coach, I have a brand new membership for women called the Own Your Voice Society, where you get me live twice a month. Every single week, we drop workbooks and content and growth sessions for you. And there's huge community, and these women are up to cool things. So it is for women wanting to take their lives back and their voices back, but it's mostly women that already have a voice. They just don't know how to use it for them, for
Mm.
their joy, for their peace, for their fun, for their fulfillment. So at theunsilentwoman.com, you can check that out too.
Awesome. Well, I will put links in show notes so people have easy access. And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. This has been such a delightful conversation. I was going to say magically delicious
Yes.
conversation and all of it. So
Yeah.
thank you again.
Well, thanks for this show. Thank you all for being someone who cares about creativity. It's so important. And I
Mhm.
think we get to create the life we want, and we get to create the emotional experience we want and who we want to be for the rest of our lives. So take creativity and pour it into your identity.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Well, thank you, Rebeccah, so much. This was such a treat.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.